every year is going to find balance in some sense. And it's interesting for me personally, 2025 has been the most successful year of my life. It's equally had some of the biggest challenges of my life so far too. So it's funny how the universe always looks to find balance, and it's important to slow down and recognize what are the great things that happen, what are the challenges that happen.
Hello, and welcome to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. This podcast is dedicated to chiropractors who are in the seasons of launching and building their practice. Join myself, Dr. Lona, and my co-host, Dr. Bobby, as we have conversations each week as it relates to building the practice of your dreams. And remember, you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. We're here to lead you on the way.
Welcome back to the Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast with the amazing Dr. Lona Cook and myself, Dr. Bobby Lajasvik. And we are hot off the heels, Lona, of Atlanta. How have you gone after the weekend? We just had an awesome weekend with some rockstar chiropractors in Atlanta, driving some cool, fast cars. Let's start off with some reflections and takeaways, Lona. Do you have any reflections after the weekend? Any kind of moments of inspiration? It's always great hanging out with rooms of people who are on fire. How'd you go after the weekend?
Yeah, I think some of what I realize is this is such an amazing profession. There's just amazing hearts in our profession. And then to get in a room where everyone's heart is definitely for helping people, but also with bigger visions than maybe what is standard or more typical in chiropractic just feels great, because it's, again, that win-win-win. This is great for humanity. This is great for business. This is great for the people that get drawn into work in our businesses. So I think that's just refreshing to be in rooms like that. And my second takeaway was just, we did some hot seat action, and how painful some of the things are that happen within our own minds in leading and getting in the right relationship with other people on our team sometimes can be, like we have these big visions, but it requires us to then lead better, to attract the right people and to hold them accountable in a way where, we put the mission and the vision and the values at the head of the helm of the ship. And, there was just some really good conversations that were somewhat guttural for some people, where there's some core wounds about allowing people to help them and allowing your life to be at the next level, and the abundance and the worthiness of going to the next level. That, I don't know, I just loved hearing that on some level, because I'm I know that person's going to grow if they actually are voicing this authentically in this room. That means you're exposing yourself, you're going to grow, right? So I think that's powerful, because I think a lot of times we shy away from being transparent enough to actually lay our problem on the line and then look square at it and then fix it. Actually change that belief system, change that identity, so that we can manifest something greater. So I feel like we did that this weekend. It was interesting to listen to.
So what I'm hearing you say is obviously people opening up and being vulnerable and being open about their situation, their current challenges. And obviously when you open yourself up like that the universe recognizes and sees that, and then you kind of know on the back of that this person's going to grow. Is that right?
Yeah, it's you surrendered into allowing that belief to be exposed, which means you're going to get rid of it likely. So that's tough work. And that's, I think, so much of the work many of us avoid, is this part that makes us uncomfortable. And then we wonder why we keep getting what we're getting.
Yes.
Right.
I actually heard this saying once, which I think summarizes it beautiful. And it says, the cave that you fear holds the treasure that you desire the most. So the cave that you fear to enter, holds the treasure that you desire the most. Or I heard another way of it is, the treasure is buried where you fear to dig. Right? So
good.
yeah, I feel as though this is actually a really appropriate time to be talking about this, because right now what we're going to be talking about today is, ultimately we know we're getting towards the end of the year now. So if you're listening to this, you like to listen to this sometime towards the end of the year. And so there are things that end of the year are definite best practices that have been demonstrated over the years that help us break through to the next level. Best practices, if we incorporate them, it's a way to be able to reflect, look back, recognize the things that are working well. And that's the starting point. So today we want to talk about how you ready yourself for next year by doing what I call is step number one. And that is, how do we reflect back on the year that was and start off in a positive way? It's very easy, in life to always look at the downside of things, the negative things. Well, this didn't work and that didn't work. Or look at here's what I want to achieve next. But in order to be blessed with more, I think first it's important to recognize what we've already been blessed with. So right now today, we want to talk about, okay, what's our process as we get ready to wrap up a year upon reflecting back. So step one, reflect and look at all the positive things that happened this year. I like to get a blank piece of paper out, and I like to get a pen out, and I like to write down all of the great things that happen and separate them in different domains. So, for example, you can have a domain in business, talk about all the amazing things that happen in business. Talk about then personal, all the amazing things that happen personally. Talk about health, all the amazing things that happen health wise. Talk about relationships, talk about the different aspects of your life, finances, and just start listing out all the amazing positive things that happen, because your mind doesn't know whether something is currently happening or whether it's happened. And this is why when you think about a certain situation, it can put you in a certain emotional state. And so I think it's really critical that when we reflect, when we get ready for the next year, we reflect on the year that just was, and we go through an exercise that we start listing out all the positive things that have happened inside of your life and different aspects of it. And then on the flip side, we also then start looking about, okay, what are the challenges that happen? Because every year is going to find balance in some sense. And it's interesting for me personally, 2025 has been the most successful year of my life. It's equally had some of the biggest challenges of my life so far too. So it's funny how the universe always looks to find balance, and it's important to slow down and recognize, well, what are the great things that happen? What are the challenges that happen? So, Lona, what are your thoughts on this as you prepare for the end of year? What are some best practices around Dr. Lona and how she incorporates this into her life? And what have you found that we can potentially take from you and glean from you as well?
Yeah, I think that's very similar, Bobby. I spend a lot of time writing. I do that often anyways. Like I fill up books like this often. Kind of if someone picked one up, they would probably see the same things written many times over. But that's me just trying to chew on where are we going in different domains of my life, in our career, in our businesses, in fun and travel, and in my health, in my relationships. And I'm jotting those things down. And to your point, writing the things I'm grateful for, and also things I want to create more of. And so I think that self-reflection time to like squeeze, how's my rhythms in my personal life working? How's my schedule working? Like all of that is up for grabs right now. And at end of a year is a good time to reflect on, what's working really great? What do I maybe need to tweak? What do I see now that I didn't see before? And I think doing that first and doing it with your stats as well, like use the data that you have available to you. And then asking your team for those same things, like, what's been an amazing win from this year, personally and professionally? What are some of the things that are challenging you right now, or some perceived problems that you have personally and professionally? What are some of the things you're most excited about for the next year? Like, I want to ask my team those questions too, because many times they're going to unearth great ideas and great projects that maybe aren't yet issues, but maybe will be in the next quarter or two. So that helps me prepare for the clinic goals up ahead. And it helps me know like where they're at. So that also sometimes people, one thing that was shocking to me when I first started asking this is how many times I perceived my overwhelm to be everyone's overwhelm. And other times other people on my team were like, no, I'm ready for more. Could you please give me more? I'd like to like do more. And I was like, I'm overwhelmed, but you're not overwhelmed. You're underwhelmed. Oh, I need to do a better job of creating opportunities for you. So anyways, that's one of the things I like to go through is first for myself and then next for my team.
Yep. No, spot on. I get it. Sometimes you think that the way that you're seeing the world is the way that everybody sees the world. And so that's why it's so key at the end of the year that everyone gets on the same page and unites. And it was interesting. Someone was telling me the story recently how there was someone coming into their practice, just a typical story which probably most chiropractors have heard before. Somebody's coming into their practice. You're really unsure about how well this person's doing or how happy they are. And then all of a sudden, they find out one day that you completely changed their life. And this person was like, gee, I wish you told me earlier. I thought they actually weren't happy. So that's why it's such a critical time. So can you take us through them? How do you do this specifically? So do you first sit down on your own and then do you get together with your team? Do you get together with your spouse? Like how do you do this professionally and personally? I know we've got myself, my wife, Ellen, I've got a system around how we do this, but I'd love to hear how you do it first.
Yeah. So I do a lot of it by myself and it's just more intense towards the end of the year where I'm like really spending some time in each category. Whereas, when I'm doing it throughout the rest of the year, I'm just maybe doing on whatever's top of mind that day and where I want to like be creatively writing about. So it's more intentional at the end of the year. I also like choosing a word or an intention for the year ahead. So just paying attention to like, what I believe some of the like themes that are coming out and everything that I'm journaling helps me find a word that kind of anchors, if you will. So I know a lot of people do things like that. Then I usually move on to like asking through a Google Drive or Google form questions to my team and wanting to hear their reflections. And that all helps me prepare for the quarterly meeting that we'll have at the end of the year. And usually we'll do a full day meeting in December, rounding out, looking at everything that's happened in the first 11 and a half months of the year, celebrating some of the things, looking at some of the challenges that we overcame, looking at challenges that are currently up ahead, deciphering some of the most important projects, looking back at the marketing calendar and the outcomes, like just chewing through that with the data that we have, so that we can all get on the same page. Because a lot of, I think, what came out this last weekend when we were all together in Atlanta was just how critical it is for these meetups to make sure that everyone is on the same page and sees the vision and the steps up ahead. Some people are going to be more focused on the next 1 or 2 steps, and others on the team want to know, let's talk about 10 steps ahead. And that's why these quarterly meetings are so important, and the end of the year being so important. So for me, that is generally how we do it. And then we shift the meeting into really looking at what projections for the next year will be. As far as with my husband and my kids, I'm less of a like, oh, I have this all figured out, how to do this all together. I'm definitely the one that generally leads the charge in our family of like, what's up ahead? And my husband's more like, okay, sounds good. I'm good with that. And will let me know if he's not, but I don't have as much of an intentional, like, oh, we meet every so often and we review these things. No, we don't do that. I wish I could say that we did that, but we don't.
Yeah, got it. Well, that's really cool. I mean, it's great that you've got an approach, right, that works for you. Here's what we do. So again, I'll take out a couple of days and I'll do this together with my wife a couple times a year, middle of the year, end of the year. End of the year is a major one. So I feel like rule number 1, which is really critical, is get into the right environment. Okay. So we don't just sit in our lounge room and do what I'm about to explain to you now, or, just, I don't know, sit somewhere in our backyard in our back deck, something like that. No, get into an inspiring environment. For us, usually end of the year now is going to be summertime, and we literally just live down the road from some of the best beaches in Australia. We will go to the beach. I remember last year, actually, we set up our umbrella on the beach. We did 2 full days of this, and, we brought yummy food, good, nice, healthy food, and we just get down to the beach. And day 1, we literally spent all of day 1 between jumping in the water and, jumping into the surf and then come back on the sand and doing some work. It's all about reflecting and getting out of our minds all the positive things that happened. There's been some amazing, cool wins, some great investments, some really cool things that are just kind of that have happened in 2025. So we will go through each part of our life and just get it on our mind. And we won't do this like in 15 minutes and be like, all right, cool. Yeah, so this was a win. That was a win. This was a win. This was a win. Yeah, anything else? No, I think they're the main ones. No, we really get like deep with this stuff where we're like, all right, what else? Think about it. What else? And it's amazing how many times you're like, what else? What else? Oh, that's right. How amazing was this thing that happened? Like what just came to my mind right now when I said what else was how amazing was our 4-week holiday in Europe this year, right? We managed to get to Europe for 4 weeks, which is awesome. And if you're like, okay, well, that was good, all right, what else? What else? Oh, I just purchased some state-of-the-art technology. We're the first people in Australia to have this technology. It's coming into chiropractic. I just purchased it in Atlanta this week, brought it back. And how amazing is it? How we're like tip of the speed, bringing this stuff out. First one in Australasia that has this. The guy that I actually met, the president of this company, he was telling me there's only 72 of them through the US at the moment as well. So out of, let's call it 100,000 chiropractors, there's 72 people that have this technology, which is so cool. What about a differentiator? Like how awesome is that? That would be an example of a win.
And now you have to tell us what the technology
that's a conversation another time, Lona. I can't tell you now. If you guys are interested, you can shoot me a message because, let me test it out. And then weren't you there when the guy delivered it to me on Saturday, or you weren't there?
No, I wasn't there.
He delivered it to me on Saturday, and all like other chiropractors were there crowding around. I think he sold another 5 of them just there on the spot, right? But that's an example of a cool thing. Another cool thing was the Porsche experience on the weekend. Like you could totally easily just like go past it and go, yeah, that was cool. But no, like, oh, that was awesome. The fact that I could take time away from my family, go there, spend time with, awesome chiropractors, including yourself, like Lona, get to spend time in fast cars, having a lot of stuff, doing a lot of stuff that us boys love to do. That was an awesome win. First time I've ever done that in my life. We really dig when we look for the wins. And I find that this process takes hours. And even after hours, we're still like, oh my God, we forgot that. What about that one thing? Yeah, we forgot about that one thing. Oh, that was awesome. Fantastic. So we really dig.
You can get so much done in a year.
Say again?
Like you can get so much done in a year. That's the craziest part is you do forget how much happens.
100%. And by doing this, it makes you realize what a machine that you are. And so much of external manifestation is what you're manifesting and what you're bringing about internally. And so when you do this, every single time we sit there and we go, whoa, we achieved a lot. Like we get a lot of stuff done. And I think that's really important, especially for some of you guys that beat yourself up around, I'm not as focused what I should be, or I'm not like, getting as much done as what I can be doing. Whereas when you actually sit back and reflect, you realize I'm actually being a bit hard on myself. I got a lot done, and every year I seem to get better and better at doing it. But part of that is recognizing it and slowing down. So end of the year, I definitely recommend step one, find an inspiring environment. Like I said, we do it on the beach. We find beautiful days. We get down there the whole day. And environment trumps willpower is something that I heard a very long time ago. And that means that, the environment you put yourself in does impact your mental headspace and how you execute an exercise like this.
Yeah, I think that's excellent.
Yeah. So we start off with the positives first, and we really, really, really dig. All right. Then on the flip side of that, we look at what we call the lessons/challenges. All right. And every challenge has a lesson within it, definitely. I've learned a lot about life this year through various challenges that I haven't had before. And that leaves, impressions on you. It shapes you, the person that you are, and how you make decisions, how you take action on things. From a personal point, I know there's been a lot of people around me, like my parents' generation, that have succumbed to illnesses. And it's really taught me a lot about the things that we talk about in practice. For years, I would preach, Lona, in practice, how important it is looking after your health and time. And I'll talk about all these chronic disease and stats. But there was a little part of me that used to think, I don't really see it. Like we talk about chronic illness and disease, massive increase, and medication dependence, massive increase, and medical error, people. And I don't know, maybe I was in my 20s, and so you're a bit younger. I didn't really see it. I can tell you, I've seen it this year, first-handed. And so you can learn lessons from that. That's been a challenge. Definitely there's been lessons learned from that too. I dislocated my shoulder this year. There you go, right? Lesson learned. I'm like, what a challenge that was. Dislocated my shoulder, ended up in emergency department, getting my shoulder relocated, couldn't work out for months. Challenge. What did I learn from that though? There's definitely a lot that I learned from it, 100%. Let me tell you one thing I learned from it. Here you go. I finally understood our patients who every week are like, oh, this pain is still here. Are you sure it's going in the right direction? I used to get so frustrated with that. And then I found myself on my good friend Chatty every second day asking about my shoulder. Oh, is this going to get better? It's still I'd had that doubt. And here's me, a doctor of chiropractic, asking this question every single day. It really made me realize well, hang on, I kind of know the answers to this, yet I'm still, looking for clarity and looking for certainty. Massive lesson learned there. So on the flip side, we then look at all the challenges, and then we write down what did we learn from the challenges that happened as well.
That's good, Bobby. It sounds like there was a lot of juice you've squeezed from your challenges, which, I think a lot of these things that happen to us as life happens, as we get older, more life happens to the people around us that we care about and ourselves. It's that also makes you a better leader. It makes you more empathetic. It makes you have a lot more grace for people, which allows us to naturally communicate better. There's so much available to us, but sometimes we get so stuck in the challenges, we don't look, or it's hard to look for the gifts that have been in them as well.
Yeah, 100%. And there are definitely gifts in the challenges as well. Final thoughts on this, Lona? I'm listening to this now. And maybe what are we recommending? What are we telling people? To find time to do what?
Yeah, I think, coming into December here, when you're listening to this, you've got an entire month to still really not be behind. Get ahead of this game. Don't wait till January already happened before you start to reflect on what just occurred in 2025. Then you are behind. The best time to do it is right now, as we're nearing the end of quarter 4, to reflect on wins, challenges, learns, everything that you can squeeze the juice from, so that you actually cannot just coast into the new year. We want to end a year strongly and start a year with intention and with direction, which comes from us taking the time to reflect, and also taking the time to really understand our metrics and our stats, so that we can lay ourselves out a really clear path that both our right and our left brain is really excited about, because it's dreaming and seeing the metrics in action, which is how manifestation even speeds up faster, right? So this is a time to start playing with all of that. And spend a few weeks actually squeezing that juice.
Yep, spot on. So purpose of today, guys, get you to reflect, look at the wins, look at lessons learned, because next we've got to talk about, all right, well, once we've done that and we've looked at the year beyond, we've reflected on it, then we can start to vision cast next year and start manifesting what we're going to bring about next year. Cool.
Yes.
Love
so
it.
good, Bobby.
All right, team. Great conversations. Dr. Lona, awesome catching up with you, not just over the podcast, but on the weekend as well. And guys, if you like this episode, make sure you follow us. Easiest ways on our Instas, just add us on social media, Instagram, shoot us a message. We're really available there. And that's the best way for us to communicate and talk. Until next time, have a fantastic day.
Hey everyone, please listen in for this next bonus interview of one of our remarkable success partners. They all help us help more people find the benefits of chiropractic. So listen on.
Hello, Remarkable CEOs. This is Coach Dr. Eric DiMartino with Remarkable Practice. I'm excited today to be in studio with Dr. Chad Glines from Genesis Back and Neck. Genesis Back and Neck is one of our remarkable success partners, and we just love our success partners because they really help our docs help more people. And so welcome to the podcast, Dr. Chad.
Hey man, happy to be back on here. It's a lot of fun with you guys.
Absolutely. So let's start by having you tell the audience a little bit about you. What's your backstory?
Yeah, so Chiro for 20 years, went to Parker. My wife's a chiropractor, her brother, her dad, her sister-in-law. But funny enough, I was actually looking at being a surgeon. So I was like taking MCATs and the whole thing. And then when I was talking to the neurosurgeons, those guys are like really cool. And then you talk to the orthopedic surgeons, you're like, those guys are rock stars. I want to be one of those guys. The problem with that industry is they don't really have any way to help people except ways that don't help people. And so I was talking to my wife, and then the chiropractic made a ton of sense to me. And so I knew how to adjust before I got to Parker, really loved that, but I still wanted to help those people that had disc issues. And I read this study from a doc down in McAllen, Texas, and his name's Dr. William Martin. And he said, I can help a disc patient 86% of the time. I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. So I graduated Parker. A month later, had a DRX. I had my own practice, and I've been doing that thing for 20 years now, just using the DRX.
Amazing. Yeah, it's funny because I was just having a conversation yesterday with one of my patients, and they were a newer patient. They came to our Better Results Faster workshop, and they kind of learned about chiropractic and nervous system. And she had said to me, she's like, Doc, how come there's like no focus on the nervous system in healthcare? There's like no doctors ever talked about or checked my nervous system, and she just learned it's the most important system in the body. And we'd kind of have the conversation. Well, there's no drugs that really can address spine or nervous system issues. The surgeries are horrendously ineffective and cause more problems than they fix, like you alluded to. And so it's just something that's just missed in healthcare right now, the most important system in the body, and there's really no way for them to address it. Obviously, that's the role we step into as chiropractors. So that's great that you had that realization so early in your career. So in TRP, we always say that every business exists to solve problems. And the bigger problems you solve, the more you're compensated. So what problems do you guys at Genesis Back and Neck, what problems do you specifically solve for chiropractors?
Well, so me, and it's a funny story because my partner, Dr. Caleb Braddock, a lot of people know him. He's done a real big chiro office for a long, long time. And he's circled himself with a lot of chiropractors. Now, me, on the other hand, I was kind of the oddball out because all I ever used was a DRX. And then I developed the protocol that we use at Genesis. And through that period of time of me developing that, I took away a lot of my adjusting. And when I teamed up with Caleb to partner Genesis to move out into the space, he's like, so you don't adjust? I was like, no, because you have to imagine if you have a clear like pool of water and you throw one muddy pebble in it, well, now you really don't see clear through that. And so I had to find a way to create a standard of care for decompression that made sense that you could track without outside influence. I wanted to be sure that if this machine is claiming to actually repair a disc, I want to prove that. And you're going to stand on your research. So I developed all that. And so the problem that we now solve for chiropractors is being able to reach just disc patients through really targeted marketing, but give them a way to treat them without abandoning your principles. So it's funny that we call it just evolved. We call it principled decompression because then the chiropractic adjustment allows the body to innately heal itself because that's what it's designed to do by removing nerve interference. Well, we're doing that same exact thing. We're just doing it using a machine to pull the disc back in where it belongs to allow the disc to heal. And so we really only treat disc patients at Genesis, and we partner with docs all over the country now, helping them do that. And it's really rewarding to see what Genesis has become with 80 something clinics now.
Great. And there's a lot of decompression. We see it all over the place. Some chiropractors do it, some don't. I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there that are maybe interested in either doing it better or starting from scratch. So what does Genesis Back and Neck provide that like why would I go to you guys versus just going out and buying a DRX and trying to implement it myself? Like what value do you guys bring that doc should go to you instead?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's the number one question that we get asked. So you can go buy a DRX 9000 and you can treat people. The problem is if you buy one, you're going to treat people one way. The guy down the street with the tables treating people a different way. So we created a standard of care, the protocol that I developed. That's the first thing. The second thing is we don't just bring people on for the sake of having locations. So our business model is totally different than anything else. We actually partner with every single doctor. Another thing that we do is we do not ask that chiropractor to provide Genesis any patients. Now, does that happen? Of course it happens. But we stand on the fact that we understand decompression marketing so well that we will drive patients into your clinic, but it's an island. So we create an entirely new business. We put that business inside your already successful chiropractic office, and they are two separate things. And so one does not interfere with the other because it just gets messy in business. So we cleaned all that up, provide all the systems, the protocols, and then we run a real deal decompression business. And at the end of the month, we collect money and then we do a partner split. And it works so well. I didn't really expect it to take off like it has, but it's been really awesome to see chiropractors that been wanting to tackle these disc patients that are so hard to reach a lot of times, and now being able not to just find them, but successfully treat them and get them better and holding the doctor's integrity, the patient's integrity intact while doing it. It's not like a big salesy thing. It's very, very uniquely positioned to have the highest level of integrity. That's what we stand on the most.
Great. I love that. A lot of our CEOs are very busy docs, right? And certainly they want to maybe add services to further help their people in their community.
Sure.
How, I'm always looking, if I'm going to do something, I want it to be turnkey, right? Because I'm a busy guy. I don't have a lot of time to reinvent the wheel. Is how turnkey is your system? How much time, the CEOs listening to this call that might be interested, how much time is required on their end versus what you guys will do to make this implementation simple?
Well, the implementation is the part that we hear the most praise on. So Caleb and I, as we grew, we really invested in building a corporate team that's going to help us streamline the whole thing. We call this a bolt-on turnkey system. So you don't really have to do anything. Once you sign up, if it's for you, you sign up every step of the way. We're kind of holding your hand and making sure that the entity's created. We create the bank account. We get you all the systems. We take care of the training. You come to our office, we train you. You get to watch us do consults. You get to see our flow. I mean, all the things are done. Day to day, all the doc would need is 10 to 12 hours a week dedicated to just doing consultations for decompression patients. If you can do that, and then the timeline is a little weird because the machines have to be built. So what happens is from the time you sign on and you say, all right, let's go, to the time you open is about 3 months because it takes 90 days to build the machine. But within that 90 days, all the steps are handled for you. So you're not constantly going back and forth and taking all this time and you're confused what's going on. No, it's all laid out, drawn out for you. So it's a very clear path from I want to do it to let's see a patient on day one.
Yeah, that's great. And so it takes kind of the guesswork out,
It does.
right? You partner with a doc. Most of our docs who have not done this have no fluency around how to do it right. So you guys come in, give the protocols, give the systems and procedures, you even drive the new patients to them, correct?
Yep, that's right. We handle all the marketing and we teach you how to do everything. I've been doing it 20 years. Genesis has been expanding for 7.5 years, and we've gotten really good at it now. I always tell everybody when we talk about this stuff, it took us about 50 offices to really dial it in, but now we've got it down really well. It's really turnkey now.
Great. So we always coach our CEOs that they need to focus on return on investment, right?
Mhm.
Whatever you do, people will ask me, hey, doc, how much should I spend a month on marketing? And I tell them, as much as you can, as long as you're getting a positive return on investment, right? It's not the amount that you spend, it's what do you get on the other side of that. And so can you give some basic numbers or stats around what a typical new client could expect as far as a return on investment for working with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is its own business and it has its own overhead. But I'll say this. So we've had docs that tried to do decompression and they're like, I can collect 6 to 10,000 a month pretty easy. If we're not doing 40,000 a month, then we feel like we're failing. So 40,000 is our floor. It runs about a 60% profit margin, somewhere in there. Now, that being said, we have docs that start with us and they're happy with 40,000 every month, and that's great. They're putting pretty good money in their pocket. Or we have some really high level achiever partners, and they did 146,000 in their very first 30 days. So the spectrum is what's your bandwidth like? What do you look at? Where can you focus your energy? If you have some energy to focus, the ROI speaks for itself. We don't have anyone that's really losing in that manner.
That's great. If you can do a 60% profit margin and you can get, 40 grand as your floor, some basic math was about $24,000 a month in profit.
That's
And so
right
that's
at
the
it.
floor.
Yep. Yep.
That's great. Love it. So, what is the best step for our listeners to get in contact with? If they want to learn more about how Genesis Back and Neck can help them in their practices, what's the best way for our listeners to reach out and contact you guys?
Yeah, the first step would be just go to genesisback.com/join. If you go to that, you'll fill out a very basic form and then we'll contact you. You'll probably get a call from our COO. She's been with us from the beginning. And then we'll get some basic info. And then you'll get connected with me and Caleb. We'll have a call and we'll start the process. If it sounds like something that you want to do, then the process gets started. We do market analysis for your area and the whole bit. So genesisback.com/join.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Dr. Chad, for joining us today. Thank you so much for being a remarkable success partner and again, supporting our docs and getting out there and helping more people. So remember, Remarkable CEOs, tune in every single week to our Remarkable CEO podcast. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for having me. See you guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, please click the links in the show notes to schedule a call.